Ashley Chastain Woodard, your number 1, coming from Charlotte, former South Carolina standout. It'll be Lelio, Shelton, and Rody, followed by Chansey Knight winners, Blankenship, Heath, and Vincent. Shelton in that 2-hole, 13 doubles, the top of the SEC in that category. Ball in the strike. Lelio just finds ways to get on base, whether it's via the free pass, base hit. You see the batting average, .435. Started her career at Oklahoma. Now in Columbia, 2 balls and a strike.
And that's definitely something you want at the top of your lineup. Just finding ways to get on base, whether it's a bloop, whether it's a double, whether it's a hit by pitch, a walk. Just having quality at bats, pitch to pitch. And also a little bit of plate discipline where you're not necessarily swinging at bad pitches that aren't strikes.
26th in the country in terms of on-base percentage. Well over 500 in that department. And on base via the free pass to start things off here in game 2 for Carolina. What do you like about Binford in the circle?
Yeah, absolutely. Aaliyah Binford, I like her maturity, the transfer out of Baylor. She averaged about 65 miles per hour, but she dominates on the bottom half of the zone. She has a good curveball and drop ball, but her real big thing is her changeup. She needs to mix speeds to be successful. And one thing in the close games that has given her so many wins this season is that she really steps up with runners in scoring position. You know, she is not going to get a ton of strikeouts, but she's going to induce quite a few ground balls and fly balls to get hitters out.
Here's Shelton, hit sharply. It's going to be stabbed by Starr over to first, not in time. Well, a brilliant play by Starr over at short, and the first 2 reach for Carolina. That's a base hit for Shelton.
Ryan Starr here. What a great diving play. Trying to make the throw from the knees. It sails up just a little bit, and Carly Shelton able to leg out that hard hit ground ball.
I thought there was no way in the world she was going to get to that ball. It was hit so sharply, but then diving directly towards her right, she got it done.
Yeah, it might not have been a hard hit ground ball, maybe more of a hard hit shot at the shortstop, Ryan Starr.
Our first look at Ari Rody. Transfer from Charlotte. Ashley Chastain Woodard told us she recruited her originally to the Queen City via FaceTime right during the middle of the pandemic, and played for the 49ers, had an incredible season last year. You see her numbers this campaign. She's done nothing but pick up right where she left off. Second team All-America a season ago.
It's fun and good to see Ariana Rody from Rhode Island. Just more softball being played. Obviously, when we think about softball players, we often think of warm weather states like your Texases, your Californias, your Floridas. But more and more these days, we're seeing some very, very good softball players coming out from all over the country. So shout out to Rhode Island for Ariana Rody.
The Ocean State. Rody just a junior. And another walk, the second of the game issued by Binford, and Carolina has him loaded. Home half of the first inning with no one out. You seen anything from Binford early?
You know, I really liked that last pitch. It looked a little bit close. I would have liked to see it called a strike. But I think right now it's about getting settled in and finding that umpire zone and what the game plan is for South Carolina hitters. What are they trying to do? What are they looking for? And how are we going to execute the pitches to the best of our abilities? Bottom of the first, no outs, bases loaded. Not usually a situation that you want to be in, but not necessarily the worst. If Binford can use her defense, there is a lot of options for them to be able to turn a double play. But most importantly right now, she's got to find a way to step her game up early in this game and make sure that she's in it mentally pitch to pitch.
It was close, right? This is very close.
Yeah, this looks really, really close on the outside corner there. This is a curveball from Binford. And a nice hold and frame from McKay behind the plate, but not what our umpire liked.
Lyndon Baptiste calling balls and strikes today. Chelsea Clark over at first base. Jacob Agee at third. 0-1 the count to Ella Chansey, the senior from Athens, Georgia. Madison County High School, also a transfer from Charlotte. Good block by McKay. You've got Lelio over at third base, Shelton at second, Ari Rhodey at first for Chansey. .290 hitter on the season, high and tight.
The ball's just running on Binford just a little bit here. Being able to stick your landing a little bit more, but more importantly, stick your snap and follow through a little bit. Absolutely, it doesn't get better than this. The ground ball back to Binford, home to first, the easy double play here. A lot of times we think double plays are the best place to be, but we think bases loaded is the best place to be, but there's so many options for double plays to help you get out of the inning, and right there Binford does a great job.
That is a pitcher's mentality right there, Monica.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you just got to play smarter, not harder. And I know that's a cliche that a lot of people think, but it's not easy to constantly throw strikes and get ahead of counts at times. So sometimes you don't get strikes that you think are strikes, just like the one to Ariana Rhodey. But now you get that big double play, the inning's not over, right? Now it continues, okay? So how is Binford going to attack Abigail Knight and make sure that she strands these two runners? And then on the flip side, how is Abigail Knight, beautiful change up there from Binford, how is Abigail Knight going to shorten up and make sure that she can find a hole with these runners on base?
Knight was up to bat with the bases loaded in the bottom of the eighth last night and got the game-winning RBI on the bases loaded walk. She lines out to Butte in right field here, and would you know, the first
huge for Ole Miss on their production, bringing in Coach Aaron Earlywine and also Coach Bobby Buchanan. Shout out to Coach Traxel for head coach Traxel for both of those hire who are more offensive minded. Bobby Buchanan is a little bit more into the data analytics. So creating the game plans and the hitting plans against all these great pitchers that we have in the SEC.
Coach Traxel, year number 5. She has reached the NCAA tournament her first 4 seasons. Percy Yamas will lead things off after a 13-pitch first inning for Jory Hurd. Yamas a .373 hitter. 1 for 4 last night in that game 1 1-0 shutout loss. Big series. Both teams coming in at 5-5 in the SEC after last night's game. And you start to think about the grind the second half of the season, league play, and now entering the heart of April, right? It gets to be a little bit of a grind for these programs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in some ways it's about recovery, who's recovering the best, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually to come back day after day. And you want to get your team into a rhythm, but we are definitely entering what I would call the dog days of April.
Payoff pitch, upper part of the zone, and caught looking was Yamas. The second strikeout for Jory Hurd.
Well, what a beautiful pitch by Jory Hurd here to Percy Yamas. Going with that inside corner, that two-seam fastball. It has that tendency to go up, it has a tendency to go down, but this time to Percy Yamas, just a slight upward movement on it, allowing her to get the strike 3 looking.
Shift in play for Lexi Brady. 376, 12 homers, 53 driven in. 0 for 4 last night, and all kinds of real estate over in that 4-hole between first and second.
Lexi Brady has been such a bright spot in this Ole Miss lineup.
How would you have pitched Lexi Brady?
Oh gosh. Well, for me, I definitely would want to be pitching her outside away for sure, just because she has that incredible power. You see that 12 home runs. She's currently chasing the Ole Miss home run record, which is at 15. She still has a month plus some season to go. So, I definitely expect her to break that record at some point this year. But I would definitely want to get her outside to get ahead, just like we see there. There's Jory Hurd coming back, working behind to get a strike. It's okay to go when you're facing a hitter like Lexi Brady. It's okay to get behind in the count, because then you can come back, right? Early in the count, sometimes you want to throw balls to these really good hitters because you don't know what they're looking for and you don't want to leave anything too close. And also, it kind of puts them on their heels a little bit. Okay, is she going to walk me? Now I have 3 balls. Nope, there comes a strike. Nope, there comes a swing miss.
Payoff pitch out of the zone, and Ole Miss has its first base runner here in game 2. The first walk issued by Hurd, and Brady trots down to first base. And in the grand scheme, is that the worst outcome if you're a fan of South Carolina?
Absolutely not. Putting Lexi Brady on first base. Now, don't get me wrong. She is a catcher and a power hitter, but she's got some speed on her. She does have a couple triples on the triple on the year. So, but she isn't your speedy person. And in this situation, 1 out, runner on first. Not the worst situation in the world for Jory Hurd.
Here's Mackenzie Pickens, the talented freshman from Flowery Branch, Georgia. Earned that starting second base role. Numbers have been robust at 361, 5 homers. Actually hit a grand slam in her first college home run, a victory against Sam Houston earlier this year. Twin sister plays at Louisville, which is kind of a fun thing to think about. Sisters, twins playing major D1 college softball, and one's in the ACC, the Cardinals, the other in the SEC in Oxford.
I wonder if that's tough being a twin, especially when you're in high school going through that recruiting process, and they probably played on the same team their entire life.
Now meeting in the circle. 2 balls and a strike. Scoreless game here in the second inning.
Not completely sure what this conversation is about, but I imagine it would just be about attacking the zone a little bit, making sure that her release point is on time, her sequencing from release, from foot landing to release to follow through is in order, and not getting behind in counts.
Two and one the count. Mackenzie Pickens. And it's back to work for Jory Hurd. It was a 1-0 ball game in extra innings last night at Carolina Softball Stadium. Game ended on 4 consecutive walks. And speaking of the free pass, McKenzie thought that was ball 4.
But here it is, Jory Hurd thinking, I'm not going to walk you. I can't walk you.
That was a strike.
Yeah, that was absolutely a strike. I think Mackenzie Pickens will swing at that the next time she sees it.
Payoff pitch upstairs, and Ole Miss with runners at first and second, and it's back-to-back walks issued by Hurd after back-to-back strikeouts. And that brings us to the catcher, Jamie McKay.
Jory has had 3 full counts this inning so far. And with those walks, it's so important to settle back in and get ahead.
McKay, the junior from Cali. 269 on the season, couple of home runs. Rebels feel like they should have gotten the sweep against Mizzou last weekend in Oxford to close out the month of March. Won the first two. Fell behind in the first inning in game 3. Peeled down to third. And it's 2-1. No midweek game for Ole Miss before they took the flight over 2 days ago to Columbia. Opposite field, down the right field line, tracking and catching is Knight. Tagging is Brady. She will reach third base. So a productive out. And the second of the frame for Jory Hurd in the circle.
Good job by Abigail Knight getting the ball in to second base and splitting the runners, keeping them in a first and third situation rather than throwing all the way to third base. Not allowing the runner at first to advance. Here's
Angelina De Leon. 239 on the year. Right back up the middle, and it stays up long enough. Lelio makes the grab on the run. Rebels still without a run in the series. Each other's full support, and to be able to come back home to Columbia, really a special moment not only for her but for this softball program.
Yeah, absolutely, and such a very cool story. We're in a position in the softball world now where we have lots of players that have started to become coaches, but I think we can count on a handful of alumni that have been able to become head coaches at their program. Morgan Zirkle at Marshall is a more recent one. UCLA, Stanford, all have head coaches that are alum. Michigan has a head coach that's an alum. But for South Carolina to bring back an alum that has had some coaching success, especially at Charlotte, and has had some good SEC experience as well, it's just a bright spot in the SEC.
Yeah, pitched for 3 seasons here in Columbia. Finished 11th in career relief appearances for the Gamecocks. Right back to the circle. Benford stabs it cleanly. Well, that was almost out of self-defense.
Oh, hello. Time to wake up. Aaliyah Benford, change up low, but right to the glove, right back where it came from. Good job protecting not only your body, but your face. You see your eyes got a little wide there. Got a good PFP. Pitcher's fielding practice.
I would say that was practice to perfection for Leah Benford. So Blankenship is retired, and here comes Natalie Heath. Junior out of Spartanburg. Check that, Sharpsburg, Georgia. And Heath steps out. It's 0-1. I mean, that'll take your breath away.
Yeah, well, let's start to get your heart pumping a little bit. But just like Coach Traxel said, Aaliyah Benford has that little bit of a carefree attitude. She lets things roll off her shoulders easily. She doesn't play too high or too low. So even with a comebacker like that, you can see she steps back on the mound like it was just another day at the softball field.
Well, summer-like weather here in early April. The capital city, South Carolina. Heath.
She hit her a home run, but sometimes it's just as important not to swing at balls as it is to swing at strikes.
Taylor Malvin slaps that last pitch foul. It's a ball and 2 strikes. South Carolina, really both of these teams don't necessarily stand out in any particular team category this year if you pull up the SEC stat book. But South Carolina's approach last night, to me, watching game 1, really stood out, and their plate discipline, Monica, and they're not swinging at a lot of pitches out of the zone. Defensively, they're the second best team in the conference in terms of fielding percentage. It's just a program under a first-year head coach that doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, they've talked, talking to Coach Woodard, Coach Ashley Woodard Chastain, Did I say that in the right order?
Ashley Chastain Woodard.
a lot of names there, but Coach Ashley, they talked a lot about that plate discipline and how important it is to them and how much they practice it. They do practice taking pitches. They do it every day. It's something they talk about, and not shutting down on just, hey, here's your 5 swings versus live, but here's your 5 swings for live, but it's just as important to take the balls and swing at strikes, and that is why their plate discipline has been so good.
Third strikeout for Jory Hurd, and it's back to the top of the order.
That was Jory Hurd's 75th strikeout of the season. Nice pitch right here by Jory Hurd, especially after the battle with our slapper here, Malvin. Her 3rd strikeout of the day, 75th of the season.
Brings us back to Jaden Pone.
Jory just does a really good job of working that bottom half of the zone during this first time of the lineup, getting her several strikeouts. And now as you go through your second time through the lineup, this is where you start to think, okay, do I need to spread the zone a little bit, add in some different pitches? Do we start to throw the changeup a little bit more? Do we go up in the zone a little bit more to make that 2-seam fastball or that 4-seam fastball on the arm side to make those more effective in our pitch calling?
Carolina infield will huddle up in the circle, and now we'll back out. The urging of home plate umpire Lyndon Baptiste. Pone 2 hits last night, grounded out to second, her first plate appearance today. 368 hitter. Corner infielders take a pace or two towards home plate, and it's 0-1. Did you like playing when it was warmer like this, like almost 90 degrees potentially later today?
Yeah, I like the warm weather. I like the heat.
Who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
At this time of year, we're all getting out of our winter funk.
It's so easy to warm up. Like, you're instantly loose. You stay loose.
I mean, you got the fans going right now in the seats. Literally the fans using the paper fans to try to stay cool here.
Yeah, and the players, usually they'll have those big fans in the dugout. It's just like stand in front of those all sweaty.
Feels like June, honestly. I mean, Columbia is literally one of the hottest places in America. I grew up here, lived here for 15 years, and I just remember the summers. There'd be like 10, 15 straight days it would reach 100 degrees or warmer. 2-2. Good take that time by Pone. So the fact that it's 87 later today, not a shock.
Yeah, not at all. We outdoor people, we softball people, we love warmer weather.
Foul tip right into the mitt of Winters. Back-to-back strikeouts for Jory Hurd. She now has 4. And don't forget, coming up tomorrow at noon Eastern, series finale between number 23 Vanderbilt and the Florida Gators down in Gainesville. Florida and head coach Kevin O'Sullivan trying to right the ship against Corbs and the Commodores. That is headed your way tomorrow at noon Eastern. Lair Butte digs in and takes high and out of the zone for ball 1. Butte also grounded out to second in the first.
Yeah, Lair Butte, she is a star from the transfer portal. She's transferred from Tennessee to Houston and then transferred again from Houston to Ole Miss. One of multiple transfers on the Ole Miss revamped, reinvigorated program this year.
Yeah, started her career at Tennessee, rejoined the lineup, an injury to begin the year this year. Originally out of Riverside, California. And that went right off of Lyndon Baptiste behind home plate.
A little foul tip here, it looks like. Ooh,
right off the mask.
Right off the face mask.
So we had a situation last weekend in Tuscaloosa. Robbie Guest calling balls and strikes over at Rhodes' house. And he took a foul ball right off of his left wrist. And I mean, it looked painful right away. I give him all the credit in the world. He was going to stick it out. Trainers came and looked at him for a couple of minutes. And then he put the mask back on, and at that point he realized, I'm not going to be able to continue. So he had to leave, and they finished the game with 2 umpires. And Jory Hurd's going to finish this inning striking out the side. 5 on the game. We are scoreless. Bottom of the 3rd inning coming up.
To beat Oklahoma, and they have such really good recent history. But I think a lot of teams in the SEC, Oklahoma, Texas, joining the SEC this year, it has forced the rest of the SEC teams to step their game up a little bit, be better. How are we going to win? How are we going to take out the previous number 1 and 2 teams in the country?
9-1-2 will lead things off for Carolina. Here's Emily Vincent, her first AB. And it's 2-0. We were in Norman last year for a regional and got to know Hall of Famer Patty Gasso in that brand new facility, Loves Field. And she gave us a tour 2 days before the first game. And I just looked at her and I said, Coach, this is like a football facility in this league.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's incredible.
And then I think they recently put up a statue. Were you able to see the statue of Patty Gasso?
I don't think I saw that. I don't think it was, because I mean, literally just parts of the facility over, I want to say it was left field in that direction. They had just opened it in time for postseason play. So like the players were utilizing their locker room and lounge for the first time. Here's Starr over to first, and there's 1 away. The last point on that graphic, not to go unnoticed here in our broadcast today, Gamecocks got a series victory at LSU, including the doubleheader sweep on that final day in Baton Rouge. And that certainly is newsworthy because that's the first time that's happened for Carolina since way back in 1997. Here's Lelio. And the fun story after that game, you know, the interconnectivity on campus between programs is tremendous here. And it starts with football and Shane Beamer. The team's riding the bus back to the airport to come back to Columbia. They FaceTime head football coach Shane Beamer, who, of course, essentially lives over there at Williams-Brice Stadium right behind center field, to celebrate the series win with the South Carolina football coach. I just thought it was really cool how a lot of the teams on this campus stay connected like that and show support of each other.
Yeah, it shows the connectivity of the head coaches being able to learn from each other and cross sports and take the resources, right? The resources that the South Carolina Athletic Department is able to give their head coaches and just create.
Little blooper into right center. Man, it drops for Lelio. She's reached twice today. It's what she does best.
Yeah, Lelio just does a great job just finding her way on base. We said it earlier. Little bloop hits, some hard hits, walks, all the things. But here, not the best piece of hitting. She just throws her barrel down at the bottom and is able to bloop it just into no man's land over second base.
Shelton, one hopper to short, and Starr unable to corral it cleanly. Oh, and then crossing second and being tagged out a bit too aggressive. And that will be the second out of the inning.
Ryan Starr, what a good job. Almost an exact replay of the play in the first inning. This one bounces off her glove and then able to backdoor to second base to catch Lelio rounding. It's just a heads-up defensive play, not letting one play lead into the next. and allowing Ryan Starr over there to read the game and to work with Mackenzie Pickens, her second baseman, to get an out. You know, you want to see aggressive base running, but you also got to be smart and be able to see the ball in front of you. And Ole Miss was able to take advantage of that base running error.
Yeah, Ryan Starr, tremendous play to stick with it. Very important second out in a scoreless game. Now hit to Pickens. Fields and fires to retire the side. Gamecocks strand a runner. Percy Yamas takes a first pitch strike. Percy 1 for 5 in the series. Struck out her first time up earlier today.
Percy Yamas, one of those young freshmen for Ole Miss.
At what point in the season would you, as a former player, classify a first-year player not really as a freshman anymore?
I wouldn't classify it until their sophomore year, because a lot of times freshmen come in, they'll have really good momentum early.
To short, Blankenship, and they'll have a rundown with Benford, and finally the tag applied. Well, that's certainly one way to get the lead runner, but now advancing to second through all of that is Yamas. And a board on the fielder's choice.
This is definitely not what Ole Miss was looking for. Trying to be aggressive here. Good job by Brooke Blankenship and getting the lead runner in the pickle play. And also a good job by Percy Yamas making sure that she gets back to second base as the trail runner. That's super important when there is a pickle play going on, is taking as many bases as the trail runner as you can. But Brooke Blankenship coming up clutch right there when the runner was right in front of her. Perfectly executed by the South Carolina defense.
Yeah, Blankenship from her shortstop position and moved over. And it's a ball and a strike to Lexi Brady. You get the sense this is a critical moment in this game, too. Got a runner in scoring position. Ole Miss has yet to plate a run in this series. And arguably your best hitter, Lexi Brady, at 376 coming in. Walked her first plate appearance. That ball gets to the backstop. And advancing to third is Yamas.
This definitely changes the situation, and a 2-ball, 1-strike count with Percy Yamas on third base rather than at second base, because now you're at risk for the sacrifice fly, right? And Lexi Brady is a hitter that has the power to do that.
A big cut after Yamas advanced to third on the wild pitch, and it's 2-2. Lexi Brady ranks in the top 10 all-time at Ole Miss in home runs. You mentioned it earlier. She already has 12 this year. I mean, on track to smash the single-season record for home runs in Oxford. And with one swing, not only can she change this game, but maybe the series.
Yeah, and she's improved all the way around this year. Batting average, RBIs, slugging, home runs. So it's not just the home runs that she's capable of. She's having a career year. And I think it's super impressive because she's had a different hitting coach every single year in this program. Again, we see a new hitting coach with Erin Earlywine, but for some reason this year it clicked for Lexi Brady on what she needed to do.
Payoff pitch on the way from Hurd, served right back up the middle. That's going to score the first run of the ball game. Yamas touches home plate. Brady, RBI number 54, and it's 1-0 Ole Miss. Well, how big of a swing was that?
Yeah, Lexi Brady, she doesn't always have to be a home run. It doesn't always have to be pretty. Sometimes you just got to go down and get it. She drops the head of her bat just off the edge there against that two-seam fastball from Jory Hurd, and able to get that run in for Ole Miss.
Here's Mackenzie Pickens. Drew Walker first time up. SEC Freshman of the Week at the end of February. 361 on the season. Inside, and it just grazed the corner. 0-2. .55 freshman sets up at the back of the batter's box. Swats it right into the dirt.
You know, Jory Hurd has been working hard out there. This is actually her 5th 0-2 count of this inning. This inning? Of the 5th 0-2 count of the game. So she's getting ahead, but she's got to finish them, right? She's got to finish the hitters and shut them down after she gets ahead.
Popped up, shallow center. And Lelio tracking, bracing for that wind. And it is out number 2. Brady remains at first base. Now, coming up tonight, after the men's Final Four matchups, the SEC Now team will have a complete wrap-up of Auburn's game against Florida live from San Antonio. Plus, a look ahead to tomorrow's Women's National Championship. South Carolina and UConn. Dawn Staley's team got it done last night in a big way against Texas. Our coverage starts at 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 Central. And I mentioned the connectivity, the athletic department here on campus. Not uncommon to see Shane Beamer watching Dawn Staley's team. Shane Beamer watching Lamont Paris, the men's basketball program. Dawn Staley watching the men's basketball team and vice versa. And it's just a great way to go about your business. Pitching change on the way for Carolina. 1-0. Ole Miss out in front. I think they both felt like runs would be at a premium. And at one point, Jamie Traxel said, you know, probably the first team that gets to 5 runs, you feel good about your chances. Then she said, you know, maybe the first team that gets to 3 runs, you feel good about your chances. And then here we are last night, 1-0. And in game 2, it's 1-0 again. This time, Ole Miss out in front.
Yeah, absolutely. She's probably now thinking the first team to 1 run has a good chance. But just really well played softball. Really good matchup between Ole Miss and South Carolina last night. And then, of course, so far today as well.
What's interesting, too, you look at the preseason polls, and not much was expected out of either team coming into the year. They were essentially, you know, with Texas and Oklahoma coming into the SEC, expected to be near the bottom, if not at the very bottom, which is not a terrible spot to be in, by the way, in this league, when everybody made it to the NCAA tournament just last year. But you look at the matchup 2 months ago, okay, Ole Miss, South Carolina, middle of the year, maybe okay. No, they're both in the top 20. South Carolina's in the top 10 and exceeding expectations. Blooped into right field, and tracking was Butte, who makes a nice running grab. I mean, you look at all the teams in the conference right now in the top 25, and you know, the top 5, you've got the number 1 team, you got the number 2 team, you got the defending national champions 4 times in a row. A&M, Tennessee, LSU, then South Carolina just rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, and I think both of these teams are really good stories, right? South Carolina came in with zero expectations because new coach, completely taking over, but then they go and have their best start ever, and they're one of the last teams standing to be undefeated. And then Ole Miss, on the flip side, they kind of floated under the radar. We're having a really good preseason. They're down in the bottom of the SEC and somehow can keep finding ways to win and upping their ranking in the national polls and in the SEC all the way to 21. So these are 2 teams that maybe don't necessarily always get all the hype that a Texas or an Oklahoma or a Tennessee or an Alabama would get, but they're 2 teams that are having really good years and becoming a bright spot in a story within the SEC right now.
Yeah, you look at the 3-game series South Carolina played in Norman. All 3 very competitive games, 1-run games late. And I asked Ashley Chastain Woodard, at what point this year do you feel like, okay, we have something special? Thinking about that Oklahoma series, thinking about last weekend against LSU. And she said, well, you start your season with 20 straight victories. We kind of felt like then. And then even after we lost the series in Norman, we weren't ecstatic about a moral victory by playing the defending champions 4 times in a row close. Riding the bus back and getting on the plane to come back to Columbia, we kind of knew that this year and this team had a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's ecstatic about losing, even if it is from the former national championships? And especially when you have that history of winning, right? You have that great start, those no losses, and winning becomes a habit. I think we forget that sometimes. It becomes something that's addicting. It becomes something that you strive for. And when you're not used to losing, you don't ever want to lose. It becomes something that you do every day, and it becomes this energy and vibe that helps create a great atmosphere and a great amount of confidence in your team and your defense and your pitchers and your hitters. Winning is a habit. And yes, I would say it's also a little addicting.
Indeed.
And in the same.
Well, McKay delivers a strike. And let's see.
Let's see a little bobble by McKay, but she picks it up barehanded.
How about the throw?
Throw right on point there.
You're not going to see a better throw to get Nia McKnight, who had just came in. With her speed, that is.
The throw definitely beat her, but does the tag get there in
ruling
time?
On the field is out at second base. South Carolina is challenging that ruling. The play is under review.
The throw beat her, there's no question.
Yeah, no question that the throw beat her. It's whether the slide, because you're sliding to the back of the bag and you're trying to avoid the tag, right? Like, does the glove get transferred to the hand or the elbow on the tag quick enough?
Well, if the call was overturned, it would put the tying run in scoring position here in the home half of the fourth. Not sure we've seen anything definitive yet to overturn that call. We'll take one more look, and Monica, tell me what you're seeing.
You know, the ball definitely beats her. She slides a little bit early to late in the bag, but, you know, I think she's got to be out on this.
I would agree.
I don't see it being overturned. You know, the SEC did invest in the Hawkeye camera system this year, 120 frames per second, though. So now you can see things that the naked eye and us viewers never thought we could see before.
The call is upheld, out. That is South Carolina's first challenge.
So McKnight out at second. And that is the second out in the inning.
Yeah, there's the tag. Just beats her.
Off-speed pitch to Winters in the upper part of the zone makes it 2 balls and a strike. Winters, the catcher, flied out to left field her first time up today. Search of her first hit this weekend. And another off-speed pitch on the inner half evens the count. Winters, a Lexington, South Carolina native, right up the road, White Knoll High School. And like many on this roster, transferring in from Charlotte. 49ers must have had a heck of a team last year. Off the glove of Benford. And the inning continues. Winters able to find a way to reach first. Well, it was hit hard. Benford made a nice play in the circle earlier today. Trickled over to Starr, who elected not to try to throw the runner out, crossing first base.
Good pitch by Benford here to get the ground ball, but this is a high hopper that's across her body, so the glove has a farther time to travel to reach and secure that ground ball. Ends up coming off her glove. We have a runner at first.
2 away for Brooke Blankenship.
Now, we've seen Benford make some great plays, great reactions so far, but then a high hopper a little bit off to her right side. Just couldn't quite get the glove there in time.
Blankenship, a 297 hitter. 2-2. Senior out of Hudson, Florida, River Ridge High School. Started her career at Florida State. Set a new program record a year ago by helping turn 24 double.
To make the catch at the wall.
It was the wind also that helped keep that in the ballpark, gusting at 15 miles an hour right into the teeth of that breeze. That ball's hit in a similar fashion to right field. Maybe it exits, and you see it shifting a little bit inward now. Past the hot corner into left field. Malvin is aboard, and Vincent up with it quickly. Ella Chansey really didn't have an opportunity there.
Another first pitch swing for a hit by Malvin. They've found, Ole Miss offense has found success on the first pitch. Just a hard slap on the Ella Chansey playing up the line on the slapper. Good job reading the defense.
Back to the top of the order, Jaden Pone. She'll send it the opposite way and foul right into the heart of the netting. Pone 0 for 2, inserted into that leadoff spot again for the second straight game. Now 2 for 6 this weekend. Senior out of Hope Mills, North Carolina. Season high 3 hits last weekend. The victory against Mizzou. 3-game series. Rebels took the first 2, fell in game 3. Slapped into left field, and that one's going to trickle through. Back-to-back knocks. And with one away, Ole Miss has something cooking here in the top of the 5th.
Pone, what a good job. She goes to the slap here, just uses the ground, but Ella Chansey playing up the line a little bit. Can just bounce it over her head. You can see Ella Chansey there. Huge gap in the 5-6 hole, but Ella Chansey playing almost halfway up the line allows that ball to get through.
Malvin at second, Pone at first for Lair Butte. Butte 0 for 2 today, hitting 400 now. 1 for 4 yesterday in that game 1 setback. Leading hitter for Ole Miss coming into the weekend, trying to drive in a run or two with a productive at-bat here. Serve foul. We mentioned it's supposed to reach 87 degrees today here in Columbia. In between one of the innings, right before we had Jamie Traxel on, I posed the question, Coach, what's the ideal softball weather? She said 70, cloudy, no humidity. Is that for you too? Like, you like it a little cooler than this, or do you like it scorching hot?
Well, what I like and what I played good in are two different things. But little cloud cover, and I was telling Coach Traxel, a little cloud cover is always something a hitter says. Hitters, see the ball better. There's no squinting. There's no glare when it's not a high blue sky and bright and sunny. So a little cloud cover definitely plays to the offensive hitters.
Big moment here. Ball and 2 strikes as Gress delivers to Butte. And a good battle underway between these two. Well, there were a multitude of big plays last night. Butte involved in arguably the biggest one, throwing out Quincy Lelio from right field trying to score. That play coming in the 6th inning. And Butte showed you the ample arm strength from out there. Right back to Gress. Could be 2. Over to first, and it's in time. Gamecock, and on either occasion, and here we are. 1-0 last night, 1-0 in game 2. Gamecocks victorious last night. Different stories so far as Heath grounds out to Binford.
And just like that, another ground ball back to the pitcher, Aaliyah Binford. It can be difficult to field from the pitcher's circle at times because you're just doing so much, and I think we forget that the pitcher is the closest person to the hitter, so reaction time to be able to get your glove there, keep your feet moving, make a good throw. All the things that a pitcher has to do once the ball is hit within, you know, a half a second maybe.
Emma Sellers comes in to bat ninth, replacing Emily Vinson. Senior out of Lakewood, California. Gamecocks trying to find a spark at the bottom of the order. Both teams with 4 hits this afternoon. Off speed. Makes it 0-2 to Sellers. I mean, Binford got into that early jam in the first inning. Couple of walks, a hit. This one blooped to second, and Pickens had that one played perfectly. Remember, bases were loaded. No one out. And Chansey up to bat, hit into the 1-2-3 double play, which you just saw moments ago. And since then, Binford has really been on point for the Rebels and head coach Jamie Traxel.
Yeah, Aaliyah Binford had a little bit of a slow start today, finding a rhythm, finding the zone. She had some walks early on, just through the first 2 innings, but was able to get some flyouts that her outfield helped her out with. But since then, she's actually settled in and been able to get the first out of the last 2 innings.
0-2 to Quincy Lelio. She's reached twice today. Once a free pass, and once on a knock back in the third. And make it 3 for 3 in terms of plate appearances, finding a way to first base. Her second hit, the inning continues. And it'll be Carly Shelton due up next. 5 hits now for Carolina.
Quincy Lelo, she doesn't do too much here. Again, just that short, compact swing, just barrel to the ball. Just barrel to the ball as quick as possible. She just bloops things all over the field, helping her not only go 3 for 3 so far, but helping her have a great on-base percentage for South Carolina.
Shelton pops it up, foul territory. De Leon is there, and the scoring threat comes to a close. 5 innings in the books, top of the 6th coming up, 1-0 Ole Miss.
It's a beautiful day. It's softball weather out here. We got a lot of fans enjoying the game today.
A big weekend here in Columbia. You think about last night and Dawn Staley's team beating Texas in resounding fashion to advance to the national championship game tomorrow. That's against UConn, the same team that beat Carolina and ended their 71-game home court winning streak in Columbia about 2 months ago. Well, the ironic part of all of that is we'll be back here for Game 3 tomorrow between these two at 3 Eastern. At the same time, South Carolina women's team will be going for back-to-back national championships over on ABC as Binford grounds out to Shelton at second base for out number 1. So, I mean, if you want to watch us and then check in with that game during our commercial breaks, we will allow that.
Yeah, we're okay with that.
Okay.
Softball people watch softball. Basketball people watch basketball. I'm sure tomorrow they will be highlighting some of the highlights of the game and keeping all the fans in the stadium updated on the game.
Nothing in 1 the count to Percy Yamas. Percy, an outstanding two-way player, had a huge hit to defeat number 25 Clemson, her first collegiate at-bat. It's way back in the beginning part of the season. South Carolina defeated Clemson here in Columbia just a couple of weeks ago, and they'll have the return game in the upstate in about 10 days from now. That's always a classic rivalry matchup. Yama sends this one down the line and slicing foul. Well, Gress was the story last night in the circle for Carolina, coming out of the bullpen and relieving Jory Hurd earlier in this game too.
Yeah, Sam Gress has done a good job coming out of the bullpen, throwing a lot of strikes, getting ahead of hitters, using that screwball effectively, and keeping the Ole Miss batters just a little bit uncomfortable.
You can feel that up here.
Yeah, they seem to be just slightly late, right? And when you have a pitcher that throws multiple speeds well, it's important to pick a speed that you want to hit. You can't hit everything, although we pitchers want you to swing at everything.
You encourage that kind of mentality.
I encourage you all to swing at everything.
You certainly encouraged all the hitters you face. That single season where you recorded 724 strikeouts. Is that the right number?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, baby, 724.
That is an insane number of strikeouts.
Yes.
I saw that earlier in the week and I was like, that's not right. That's got to be a typo. No, it's not a typo. That is a record that will stand the course of eternity.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
That was my senior year.
In Knoxville.
Yeah, at Tennessee.
Over to first, and Rhodey makes the easy play. How many no-hitters did you throw that year?
Oh, gosh. I have no idea.
I want to say 23.
I have no idea.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but just those numbers from that season, absolutely just PlayStation-esque. I mean, just really incredible to see. Think about that kind of production.
Yeah, you know, every year when I was in college, I got a little bit better. My freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I was one of the few pitchers that had struck out 500-plus hitters a game. And then my senior year just took it to another level and was able to strike out 724. Kind of how a hitter like Lexi Brady having a career year her senior year as well.
Over to shortstop, Blankenship. And a 1-2-3 frame in the top of the sixth. I would put 724 in all of my passwords just to remember that number and glorify it as we step aside.
The game, we're in the bottom of the sixth now. Just a one-run game. Each pitch and each at-bat seems to add more value, especially for South Carolina.
With Benford now on her third approach through the batting order. As a pitcher, have you been holding something back?
I wouldn't say you're necessarily holding something back, but you're using things smartly. If you're able to get a lot of people out on your curveball and your drop ball first and second time through the lineup, then maybe now you're going to start to throw the changeup. Get these hitters a little bit uncomfortable, make them start to think about changes of speed. Now, as you sprint towards the end as the pitcher, you have to use whatever it takes to get the hitters out as quickly as possible.
Big at bat to lead things off. Home half of the sixth. Rhodey takes low, peel down to first, and now it's 3 balls and a strike.
Yeah, Benford tried to go with the changeup there that she previously got a strike on. Just a little bit too low. Good job by Rhodey holding back with her bat, although she might have been a little fooled.
On the outside corner, and a full count. Rhodey, Chansey, and Knight, part of the Gamecock order, trailing 1-0. Payoff pitch is fouled away. Now, Rhodey, we mentioned earlier, won a state championship on the ice in high school. Ice hockey player, grew up really tough. Committed to Charlotte over FaceTime with head coach then Ashley Chastain Woodard. We're transferring here to South Carolina, and Benford has her out in front to record another strikeout.
And that is a big strikeout from Binford. Not only the leadoff, but one of the best hitters in the South Carolina lineup in Ariana Rhodey. But coming back with that changeup, a gutsy pitch at the 3-2 count.
I hear the pride in your voice, Monica.
I can't help it. I have a pitcher's heart. I understand their pain. I understand their excitement.
Gutsy was a great way to frame that pitch.
Yeah, and Aaliyah Binford has been doing a great job pitching with some guts. There's her changeup again. We've seen it almost 4 times this inning. I like how she is using it a little bit more as the game has progressed.
Chansey's 0 for 2, and a ball and a strike to count. Just the mentality of Binford in the circle, it matches perfectly what Jamie Traxel talked about with us this week concerning her starting pitchers today. Her mentality, she's not going to sweat giving up a base hit, a walk.
Yeah, I think Aaliyah Binford knows who she is, right? She has that maturity of knowing, like, hey, I'm not going to go and strike out 10 people a game. I'm going to induce some fly balls. I'm going to use my changeup well and keep people off balance. And then I'm going to get some ground outs. And yes, people are going to get some hits off of me. But if I don't let it affect me, I'm going to stay confident on my next pitch and be able to stay in the moment.
Swatted down the left field line. Up with it quickly is Pone. A big turn around first for Chansey. And she will not roll the dice, retreating back to the bag. But a 1-out knock down the left field line as Carolina in business.
Ella Chansey did a great job on this up in the zone pitch, keeping her hands high. But Jaden Pone, great angle on the ball and not allowing that hit to get to the base. She cut that ball off well, had to do a backhand out in left field, and that leaves Abigail at first base, not allowing her to advance to second, and still allows a potential double play defensively for Ole Miss.
Here's Abigail Knight, the game-winning RBI last night, a bases-loaded walk in the 8th. Shows bunt and pulls back. It's 2-0. Strange way for a game to end with 4 straight walks in a scoreless contest, no less, in extra innings. And it's 3-0. Carolina had another game earlier this year against UNC where there were 6 straight walks to end the game that allowed South Carolina to run rule North Carolina. So that was not unfamiliar territory for this program. And a 4-pitch walk now, the tying run in scoring position. Knight's aboard for the second time via the free pass. And let's see what Jamie Traxel wants to do here with tying run at second, go-ahead run over at first base, and still just one away for Lexi Winters.
Yeah, good job by McKay coming out to talk to her, Aaliyah Binford. 4 straight balls after that hit. Not ideal and a little bit out of characteristic for Aaliyah Binford. So just taking a time to talk to her pitcher, settle her back in, and refocus her for the next hitter.
So here's Winters, the 2024 AAC Defensive Player of the Year. Shows bunt, takes strike 1. Originally from Lexington, went to Charlotte, then transferred. You mentioned Jaden Pone, 2 sensational plays in this inning already in left.
Yeah, Jaden Pone, what a great job defensively. Winters is able to get a good piece of this, but Jaden Pone sees the ball dying running and is able to dive to make the play. But the most impressive part is that she gets up to try to make a good throw back for the double play. Not in time, but really good defensive work behind her pitcher there, Jaden Pone, out in left field. Those hits are hard, is when they look like line drives coming at you in the outfield, and then all of a sudden they start to stop being a line drive and start to die off. A really good read out there by Jaden Pone, and especially when it's at an angle, it's not right at you. You have to be able to read the angle and still have time to get extended. In some cases, you might even say that's a bit of a risky dive, right? Like if she doesn't catch that, one run for sure scores.
Maybe two.
Maybe two.
All right, so Jamie Traxel out of the dugout, and some last-minute instructions after Jaden Pone's brilliant reception over and left to preserve this 1-0 advantage for the Rebels.
Good piece of hitting by Lexi Winters, but you see it's almost like a line drive, but then it starts to dive. And if that ball had got past her, there's no one behind her. She's the last man standing out there. So really good read by Jaden Pone. She takes a sigh of relief.
Here's Blankenship. Takes high for ball one. Brooks 0 for 2 today. Starting shortstop has played well in that 6th spot here this afternoon. You got Chansey at second, Abigail Knight at first. 1-run game, and the count evens up at a ball and a strike. I mean, Ole Miss is trying to get this 1 run to hold up and go the distance. Not easy to do in this conference with these hitters.
Especially with the South Carolina offense, they have been pretty hot at times and have been able to put up big numbers offensively. A lot of their games are large scoring games. But Aaliyah Binford here has been doing a good job, not only getting ahead of hitters, but mixing in her changeup, especially this 3rd time, even late in the 2nd time through the lineup.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 away with 2 aboard, and the pitch up the middle. Starr can't get the force in second. Here comes the throw home. And we're tied. And a sandstorm brewing here in Columbia.
Yeah, a little pre-pitch thought here. She thought she was going to go to 2, but then she tries to go to 1 all the way, a little bit undecisive at first. When she fields the ground ball, you can look. She starts to go to 1, but then she's like, oh, I have a chance at 2. And then gives enough time for South Carolina to score. That's one of those things that you don't want to be caught in the middle of, but South Carolina able to take advantage of the indecision.
And Chansey took the chance to race home. We're tied at 1. Go-ahead run in scoring position for Maya Flint. So Flint comes in, freshman, Rockland, California. Got pretty good pop in the bat, 286 on the season. And a chance to do some major damage. The Gamecocks in comeback mode once again. And it's quickly 0-2. Knight at second base, Blankenship at first. Binford battling out of the zone. And a called strike three, the punch out for Binford. But a two-hopper deep in the hole. Blankenship retreats, fires high. And Ole Miss with a runner at first base with just one out here in the top of the 7th inning.
Another first pitch swing hit for Ole Miss. McKay here, just a high hop, a long hopper here. Blankenship trying to make the throw off her back leg, but the ball sails high. Good job by catcher McKay, legging that out and calling herself safe at the same time.
She knew it. And a pinch runner for the Rebels. Ashton Lensdell. Here's DeLeon. 0 for 2. Fights off that pitch. Senior out of Valley Springs, California. Hit her 3rd home run of the year last weekend against Missouri. And really has turned out to be a dependable 4-year starter. Most of her work coming in the infield. And that one right off the arm. So the Rebels now with the go-ahead run in scoring position. One away. And DeLeon now standing at first base.
Sam Gress going inside with that screwball. Looks like just too much in. The ball runs in on her. Hits DeLeon, and it looks like the Evo shield there.
Gamecock infield will take a few paces towards home. Slapped over to third. The hot corner is there, and Chansey delivers the out over at first base. Malvin get both runners to second and third. And now it's back to the top of the order in Jaden Pone. What a moment this could be.
Now, Ole Miss has had some good opportunities. This is their 4th inning with runners in scoring position. Only one on the scoreboard to show for it. But as we are in the top of the 7th, the stakes get a little bit higher. The value of these runners become more important, and the intensity of the moment magnifies. Jaden Pone with 2 outs. Looks like South Carolina is going to talk about her for a minute.
Big moment in this game, in this series. Victory today by Carolina, and they'll claim the series win after last night's 1-0 victory. And Ashley Chastain Woodard out of the dugout. Go over some instructions here. And you think about it, Monica, base hit potentially makes it a 3-1 game, and headed to the bottom of the 7th. That's a lot in a series where runs have been very tough to come by due to all the outstanding pitching we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Runs have been at a premium for both teams yesterday and now today too. Ole Miss has been threatening, knocking on the door, but you kind of get this sense that when are they going to open the door with all the people that they've been leaving on base. And can Sam Gress again get her team back in the dugout with 2 outs.
Butte moves into the on-deck circle. 2 balls and no strikes to Jaden Pone. .450 this year with runners in scoring position. And Gress comes home.
Seems like they're maybe just being a little bit cautious with Jaden Pone here, not wanting to give up anything too big. They have first base open. It allows an easy out for your next hitter. If she does walk, it doesn't hurt you. She's been seeing the ball pretty well.
Over to short, Blankenship, over to first, not in time. Ole Miss is back in front. Well, the speed of Pone, a difference maker there. 2-1 Rebels here in the top of the 7th. Well, that's one of the reasons Jamie Traxel wanted to make a change up there at the top of the order.
And Jaden Pone said, I don't want to walk. I'm going to hit wherever this pitch is coming, even if it's on the end of the bat. And she legs it out, relying on her speed. Not super hard hit, a soft hit, and Blankenship tries to make a good
Ruling
throw
on the field
over.
is safe at first base. South Carolina is
Jaden
challenging that
Pone
ruling.
legging it out.
The play is under review.
Pone's telling you right now, I'm safe.
Yeah, she's like, I ran that out. I've been running 40s, 40-yard dashes all fall to be able to be safe on this play.
What a series this has turned out to be. And we thought it would be close. We thought that runs would be hard to come by. And the question is there any kind of video evidence there to overturn the call on the field?
After review, the call is upheld. The runner is safe. That is South Carolina's second challenge.
Pone delivers. And now runners at the corners. Ashton Lansdell ends up scoring the go-ahead run for Ole Miss. Here's Butte. Check it, Addison Duke. So Duke comes in. Takes low and away for ball one, a freshman out of Yuma, Arizona. Runner goes, and they'll only make the attempted throw towards third. So Pone, her 9th stolen base of the year. Now 2 in scoring position for Ole Miss.
Pone takes second base on the first and third play. This is a big move, changes the situation and dynamic, takes away that force up the middle.
Popped up foul territory. And nobody can get there. Chansey and Vinson gave that a run.
A first and third with 2 outs is a lot different than a second and third with 2 outs because it takes the easy out for the middles and the force out at second away.
There's also Blankenship that gave that the old college try in foul territory. 1-2 to Duke. Outside.
See Addison Duke shows bunt there, trying to get some movement from Ella Chansey, seeing if the defense will bite a little bit.
On the outer half and a called strike 3. The punch out for Gress. But Ole Miss strikes, and it comes off the bat of trying to tie the series up after losing 1-0 last night in Columbia. And Emily Vinson will lead things off. Vinson's 0 for 1. Leah Binford remains in the circle, in line to get the win. Well-played game, entertaining game. We've had a little back and forth and some outstanding pitching and defense. Monica, it's been a little bit of everything on this Saturday. Yeah. Softball Saturday in the SEC.
When we see Vinson showing bunt again, this is probably the third batter that we've seen showing bunt, but not actually laying it down. It makes me wonder if they're actually wanting to sneaky bunt or they're just trying to throw off the eye line of Aaliyah Binford's strike zone. There it is again. I think as a pitcher here, when you see that, you almost have to say, okay, go ahead and bunt it. Let's see if you actually will. Just like that. And challenge her and say, go ahead, lay it down. Let's see if your bunt can be good enough to get you to first base and play your odds as a defensive player and with your corners at that point.
Just fouled down the third baseline. Vinson, a transfer from Longwood. Played her high school softball at Lugoff Elgin. Also lettered in golf back in the day as a senior. Out of the zone, ball 4. Leadoff batter aboard, and the tying run standing at first base in the form of Emily Vincent.
Aaliyah Binford, a 3-2 count here to the number 9 hole. Just a little bit too high. I would have liked her to challenge Vincent a little bit more within the zone and not trying to be so fine, especially at the 9 hole in the bottom of the 7th.
5th free pass by Binford. Ball gets away from the catcher, McKay, and now the tying run in scoring position.
And there you see this. I'm going to just call it a fake bunt, just showing the bat. Here Lilo shows the bunt, pulls back. It gets away from catcher McKay. Advance the tying run. There she shows it again. But this time with a runner on second base down by 1, this is where you got to think, okay, they might actually bunt here for more options and ways to score if the runner's able to advance to third base.
Lilio has reached all 3 plate appearances.
Yeah.
And you look at Vincent now at second base after the pass ball. It's 2-1 to Lilio.
Lilio, she's 20th in the NCAA in on-base percentage, and I think we've seen that today. She's found multiple ways to get on base. She's had a walk in the first, a couple blue hits.
Carolina applying pressure in the bottom of the 7th. Towards the gap, it'll stay up long enough for Jaden Pone to get up underneath it. And a very important first out. It was loud off the bat. And remaining at second is Vincent.
Good piece of hitting here by Lilo. But Jaden Pone covering a lot of ground out there with the over-the-shoulder catch.
Well, Shelton's got plenty of pop in the bat. Wind blowing out towards right field. She could pull it in that direction. She's thinking about just trying to find a gap somewhere, get a ball down in the outfield and tying this thing up. 2 for 3 today, a couple of knocks. Heart of the plate evens the count here. And Binford's mentality tested once again.
Yes, once again. And the focus, right? I think it's the focus that she needs to have to Carly Shelton. Shelton, who's the doubles leader on her team, but she hits right before Ariana Rodi, who has been kind of quiet today, but not a place you want to be in the bottom of the 7th.
Popped up, foul territory. Out number 2. Yamas had a beat on that one perfectly. And now South Carolina down to its final out. Well, you mentioned Rodi. Without a hit this weekend, has been walked 3 times. You never want to say a player is due, but if anybody is due in the South Carolina order, it would be Ari Rodi.
Yeah, Ari hasn't got a ton of pitches to hit. They've definitely been careful with her throughout this game, knowing that walks are okay. But at the same time, she's due. She's ready for a pitch that she can put the barrel on.
You think back to what Coach Ashley Chastain-Woodard told us this week. Every big win for Charlotte a year ago, Rodi hit a home run. And she's just got this knack of coming through in the clutch.
She lights up when the game is on the line. I think Ole Miss knows that. Pitching coach Nancy Evans knows that and is going to be smart in how they call to Ariana Rodi.
And Rhodey continues to not see any kind of quality pitch from her perspective, at least. Walked twice last night, once today. And make it 2 times this afternoon. So the tying run at second base, winning run standing at first. And here comes Ella Chansey.
Ella Chansey was the victim of that 1-2-3 double play in the first. She also has a hit to left field, so she has been seeing the ball pretty well. A lot of times, you know, we see the double play, right? The 1-2-3 balls been hit back to the pitcher several times this game, but a lot of that time that does mean that the hitter's on time. They're on time to get their swing off and be able to get barrel to the ball for solid contact.
Chloe Lackey, the new runner at first base for Chansey, who takes a strike on the inner half. Gamecocks like to think that they are going to save their very best for last here in this seventh inning. Tight pitch.
A little backdoor curve there. Doesn't quite come back across the plate enough.
Leah Benford trying to go the distance. Big moment for the Rebels, and now Carolina down to its final strike. Boy, Benford still has some heat. Rebels trying to tie this series up. And the 1-2 inside.
I think Leah Benford wanted that one. Really close pitch there. Trying to get Ella Chansey just to jam herself on that inside corner.
Same pitch, same result, and a full count. Oh boy. Well, a walk here, and you have the winning run in scoring position. Chansey's 1 for 3, base hit. This time a slow roller, dribbles over to third at first base, and it's in time. De Leon. And the Rebels take game 2, a final score of 2-1. Another thriller in Columbia.
Really good job by Leah Benford. Ole Miss coming through with the win, but all around great defensive plays by Ole Miss, being able to back their pitcher up and finding ways to put runs on the board.
Rebels.